Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, America. And I'm going to do something a little special on this breaking story we got for you right here that comes straight out of my home state, Tennessee. Got my lumberjack shirt on. Going to talk to y'all a little about something called the Second Amendment. You know, you heard of it, that thing that involves guns. Yes, I'm going to do a little something different because this breaking story explains so much and yet so ironic that I'm bringing it to you on Thanksgiving Day. You know, pilgrims, Indians, and guns. The amazing part of this breaking story is how far people on the right, elected officials, especially this clown in Tennessee I'm going to tell you about, but how far people will twist themselves far beyond the game of Twister to somehow either promote or defend, in this case, the Second Amendment. So just to set this up for you, understand I'm doing a little something different today. I'm just going to talk to you as me when I show you this breaking story of what just occurred and one brave woman who decided to stand there in the face of everybody else and say what others won't say about your preposterous BS you're trying to toss out to the American people using the Second Amendment as a backdrop to something that is completely unrelated. And don't you just love it when folks talk about guns? Let's see, how many guns did the Indian have when we showed up? The answer to that would be donut. They had zero. The only way they had guns eventually is because they actually managed to win sometimes without guns. But anyway, I digress. The point being is that when you hear the thing sovereign nation and we talk about America, I live in Los Angeles. Are you aware that the city of Los Angeles was settled by 44 Mexicans? So when we discuss sovereignty and we discuss the Second Amendment, it is a little bit of an oxymoron, with all due respect. So in this breaking story, you have someone who's decided to come out on the steps in Nashville at the Capitol and talk about this terrible thing that Mexico is trying to do to our gun makers. You know, those guys who, when another kid walks in and kills 15 kids at a high school, they want to discuss thoughts and prayers, but it's too soon to discuss gun safety. Yet they'll use the Second Amendment and try to toss it out for anything, anywhere, all the time, and defend our gun makers.
We've heard from
some big white
advocates
acting
for
like
your Second Amendment. There wouldn't be a First Amendment. Her right to stand here.
Oh my God!
Say what she said.
Our nation, defend the guys in uniform who fought for this country and died for this country, and yet the GOP has voted against every benefit to the VA and raising the dollars to the Veterans Administration every single time it's come up for the last, 6-8 years. So just understand on Thanksgiving Day, this breaking story, this guy deserves our ire.
Remember when they were written.
Of the Second
Remember when they were written. Remember when those were written. They were written in a different time. They were written in a different time.
That someone can stand
Those amendments were written in a different time period.
The fact that these heroes shed blood to defend her rights.
For what he's trying to purport over a lawsuit that Mexico has filed. We want to talk about the drugs and the illegal immigrants coming into our country. And yet this guy's upset because of the guns that are coming in to Mexico. And Mexico is tired of it. Sounds really similar to that narrative that I always hear from the GOP and the right when there's a school shooting. Where do they go? They always go to the south side of Chicago and all the young people who kill themselves. And so why should we worry about the kids dying in a high school? And yet, what they don't ever discuss, what no one ever seems to discuss about that is, where do all the young people in the south side of Chicago get their guns?
It's a right that I take seriously. She clearly does not. But it should be noted that you have a foreign nation infringing on our sovereignty. You have a foreign nation who is trying to usurp our Constitution. And I'll say this.
Say it.
We all know that this lawsuit is frivolous. It has no standing. And it is a direct attack on your freedom.
Ooh.
Even her freedom.
Let me tell you where they get them. They get them from being driven across illegally over state lines. From where? Probably from somewhere right down about where I'm from. That's where. And bless this woman for calling this guy out for what he is and the absolute magic act he's trying to do about the Second Amendment and the lawsuit from the country of Mexico to the U.S.
Oh, even her freedom. Who's her? Who's her?
The Trump
Who's her?
administration to act
Baby
swiftly
shit.
with tariffs on any country
You're a baby shit, man.
that comes after our
You're a
Second
baby
Amendment
shit.
right.
Did you catch that? She called him baby shit. And that's kind of funny.
I love this country. I
You love
our
this
right to bear
country?
arms.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
The right to bear arms, right.
So understand, everyone, when you start hearing things about the Second Amendment, look a little deeper into what is really the story behind the use of that amendment as kind of a overall throwaway and dismissing everything that surrounds it. Because in this particular story, the Second Amendment doesn't have anything to do with the lawsuit by Mexico. It has to do with the infiltration of American guns into their country, which is ironically not that dissimilar philosophically the problem we have with the infiltration of drugs and illegal immigrants. So, you know what? Maybe it's time for the grown-ups to sit down and actually come to a reasonable conclusion as opposed to espousing BS sovereign history and constantly using the Second Amendment as a shield, which is oftentimes completely inaccurate. Have a great Thanksgiving Day. Take care.